All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm here with someone who is a new artist to me, but you were actually recommended by a few different people who've been on the show before. So I'm glad that we were able to make this happen because after sort of listening to your stuff, after hearing those recommendations, I like it. I have a lot of questions about it, but I think the best way to start it off is if you want to introduce yourself and give a bit of background about what it is you do as an artist.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, I don't know who recommended me. My goodness, I don't know. This guy to do something. But yeah, my name is Milt Homely, and I've been just basically I got started about 5 years ago. Mostly just doing open mics and just writing a lot of songs. And then in the last sort of 2 months, I just through people I met at open mics, met someone that was able to record and produce a few of my songs, and it just turned into this little record that I just happened to put out less than a month ago. So things just kind of came about pretty quickly and organically, but it was all a lot of fun, and yeah, here I am.
Well, how this is a question everyone hates answering, but how do you define what you do? I mean, I have some ideas listening to it, but I'm curious, what you how you describe it. If someone hears you have a record out, they want to know what kind of music you play. What do you call it?
I don't even know what I call it these days. To be honest, what I'm going for now, these days I'm calling it funky western.
Okay.
It's kind of bluesy. Like I thought I was starting out off as a country musician. I don't think I could call myself country, especially with this album. It just has a more of a bluesy rockin' feel to it, which is great. It just I didn't plan it that way. Um, Another word I like to call it is pity party rock, because it's sad songs that they're kind of made to dance along to and just jump around to and feel good about it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I mean, when I sort of got into it, I was about to listen. I figured based on sort of the whole vibe of the cover art and everything, I assumed it was going to be a country record, and there's definitely that country vibe is in there. But one thing I noticed kind of right off with the album is that it's very, I don't know what the word is. I was gonna say noisy, but it's like there's a lot happening. I mean, a lot of sort of what I expect from singer songwriter sort of country vibes, which I was anticipating, is very sparse and very just sort of really stripped down and basic. But your stuff there's like action happening, sort of wall to wall, sonically. So is that just how you write, or like because it seems like an aesthetic choice of just having a lot of instruments, a lot of voices, a lot of things happening sort of all at once.
Yeah, yeah. There's one fella I can lay the blame square on that one, and then that's Brian Whiskey. He's the fella.
I have a songs I've been sitting on, not a lot of them good, but when I got down to Ryan's place and we started recording them, he
Him in this direction, man. The album's called Dirty Pain. I think if I hadn't met Brian Whiskey, it might just be called maybe slightly untidy pain. But Brian just got in there and made it dank and gritty and grimy and dirty. And it like I wrote the songs, but Ryan had a lot of influence in a good way. Um, in terms of just adding suggestions as to things we could ad lib and sort of so there's a lot of hooting and hollering and shouting in the background that you picked up on.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that wasn't really but it's just kind of how we went with it, man. Just the way we flow with it.
Cool, cool, cool. Just a second here. So you mentioned sort of right off the top that you were doing a lot of open mics, and like we just sort of discussed. I mean, the record has a lot more going on than what would typically happen at an open mic. So I mean, how are you? Are these songs written in a very very basic kind of guitar vocals whatever sort of way, and then they've turned into something bigger? And then the question I guess on top of that is how do you how do they translate? I mean, how much work has to go into sort of converting them into the way they end up on the record?
yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. So I do, yeah. I love the process of writing songs and practicing a little bit and then taking them to open mics and then just kind of using that stage to just practice them. So they sort of sounded, yeah, so they are very just essentially starting out to strip down just basic songs.
Yeah.
and they just evolve, through the recording process. And I blame old Ryan Whiskey for that, because he was the one that said, "Man, your songs are too slow, man." He said, "You gotta speed these things up." And I have never done this before. Right? Clearly, like, this is my first time sort of making and putting out music, and so I just decided to kind of be open to some ideas. And I think it was a good idea, but I let Ryan take the songs and make them faster for sure. And he just punched them up, and like I said, made them a little grungier, a little grimier, because it's a gritty sound. It's a gritty, grimy, dirty sound.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think that all the like sort of the chaos with that, with, like you said, the ad libs and things like that in the background, it adds to that kind of grimy sound to it, which is cool. It's something different for sure that I haven't heard many people do with this sort of style that you have.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that. And I think part of it too is like, part of the reason I decided to kind of make country music was because I find that it's kind of a humorous genre to be like. It's pretty funny a lot, where the content of songs, the lyrics and whatnot.
There's the potential there for sure
And
with country to
and we were going, and a lot of this we're going for laughs on it too. Like we were having a whole hoot when we were making this thing. And I hope that can kind of shines through, that we were a labor of love, but a labor of laughter as well.
Yeah. Well, that I was
I
actually
think,
going to ask you about that. I was wondering, like, I mean, how much of this is, because some of it is straight up, like, almost seems like comedy songs. Some of the songs are some of the songs are a little more serious, but a lot of them are just kind of like they're outright funny, not just in a subtle kind of way. It's just like, this is a funny story, this is a funny lyrics. How much of this whole persona is just that is a character you're playing? How much of this is sort of the character as well as the songs all sort of in one package?
yeah, well, that's a bit of the mystery about it, and that's the thing that I'm even finding. I'm finding blurred lines myself in it, and sometimes I'm like, because this character, it is based on his truth. I mean, I was born in Oklahoma, so that's kind of where this whole thing gets started from. Um, but I didn't live there too long. I moved up to rural Manitoba when I was a kid.
Okay.
But I like to say I brought two things with me from Oklahoma, and that was my Bible and my drawl. I keep those things in the drawer next to me,
Yeah.
and comes out in the album a few times. But so there's a lot of truth, but of course, I mean, it's art and it's comedy, and so of course things are exaggerated, which I think country music lends itself to that. And again, the humor aspect. But however, I got to say, the pain is real, man. It comes from a deep dark place, and I think, like a lot of comedians or artists, to use humor in levity a little bit to deal with the life's catastrophes that everyone deals with is, I think, a healthy way. It can be maybe sometimes it masks things as well, but I'm aware of it. I think I like, but anyway, it's comedy is a big part of what I am going for here.
Yeah, I figured as much. Yeah, I kind of like the idea that it's a blurred line too, that you don't really know sort of where the where the joke begins and where the serious ends. Kind of it makes it more interesting than if it was straight up. Everything is a joke here. Like it gives it kind of a more interesting vibe.
I hope so. Yeah, like it is again, which goes back to the question, like, how do I define my music? I don't really know. It's just I'm just doing what I'm doing. It's kind of weird, offbeat storytelling.
Yeah,
and it's meant to, when I'm writing the lyrics, I'm laughing, and if I'm not laughing, then I don't know if I'll keep doing it. So, and it's been neat because I've only played a couple times in front of people, and to hear other folks get the joke sometimes and laugh along. Oh my goodness, what a heartwarming feeling.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, then they're really listening, right? Then they're not just using you as background music. They're actually they're actually paying attention to which I mean, country music storytelling is such a huge part of it, and the fact that they're paying attention to the story, that's a win for you, I think, in terms of getting the audience on your side.
Right. And also, and again, lyrics too are a huge part of what I do. I love the art of songwriting.
Yeah.
And because I'm not so much of a musician. So that's why I'm so glad that Ryan Whiskey stepped in to play a lot of the fancy guitar parts and bass lines. And then, man, Curtis, another friend from Open Mics, Curtis, did all the drumming. And it's actually a lot of just open mic folks that did this. And so I love that aspect of it. But what I'm excited about is playing these songs with the band, so that Yeah, because that really enhances the songs and really puts the flesh on these bones.
Definitely, yeah,
Because there's only so much I can do as I'm not really much of a guitar player. I like to sing, but yeah, my guitar playing is would be greatly enhanced for the band. So that's
for
what
sure.
is kind of in the works at the moment.
Well, then I guess maybe like this is sort of again, I don't want to dwell on the what genre are you, because I mean it sucks as a question because it's hard to define, with a lot of people. But where do you think that this full band version of what you do would be sort of situate itself in the local music scene? Because there's the comedy side of things, there's clearly the country influence. Like you said, it's grimier and grungier, and I could see it fitting in a heavier show, not like a death metal show or anything, but something maybe a little bit more distorted than your typical country gig, right? So do you sort of have an idea of where you want this to place itself?
um, Good question. I mean, no, I guess like you're right. With the full band, it's a totally different sound. I've been playing a couple of solo acoustic shows, and I'm almost like, yeah, I'm kind of almost bored playing it. I'm like, man, I can't wait to get the band together. But yeah, I guess because the songs are faster and louder and
Yeah,
grimier, I think we would fit into more of like a bluesy sort of rock venue. And I don't know. I guess I would play anywhere. I don't really have any shows lined up or anything. This is all just kind of new.
yeah.
But I would play anywhere, anywhere where people want to listen. But yeah, it's hard to define. When I was starting out, I would consider myself sort of just a folk country singer songwriter kind of thing, but not with this album and with the band.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the I mean, how long have you been working on these songs on this album? Are some of them like, stuff you've had sort of in the brain for a number of years now, or is it all fairly recent writing?
Yeah, a bit of both. I got started on this project almost 5 years ago, and a
Okay.
couple of the songs are about almost 5 years old. Actually, yeah, "Draw in the Drawer." I think the first song I wrote. "Love Don't" as well. And then a couple are brand new that I just wrote a couple months ago. And then a few in between. Like I've written a ton of songs, but these are kind of grouped together on. There's a bit of a theme going on. It's like I repeat a lot of words and phrases, and yeah, the concept is dirty pain. So it's talking about sort of a certain time, definitely certain themes of love lost and love gone wrong.
Well,
Um,
is I mean, like Love Gone Wrong is and Love Lost obviously are huge topics for any style of music. I mean, there's certain styles of music that do it better than others. I think country is one of them. But how do you sort of tackle something that is that serious and that, usually anyway, a very personal, emotional concept, and then add humor to that? Because it seems like they would clash. Like you're making jokes, but then also you're dealing with this like heartbreak, right? Is it easy to combine the two? Like, do you see an inherent humor in sort of the situation that people find themselves in when they're heartbroken?
I think so. I think I'm trying to find the funny parts of it. And I think, and again, going back to this genre of country where I started, I think it lends itself to I can kind of mask it a little bit, like, I don't know. So, I like listening to Death Cab for Cutie, but I don't like to, like, none of their songs make me want to laugh.
Yeah, yeah,
But like
for
I can
sure.
listen
Yeah,
to like a George Jones song and like I can crack a smile even though he's talking about some painful things. And so I think maybe I'm using it as a bit of a mask or a bit of a something to deflect.
yeah.
So it's easy to go into the painful topics because I know I can just sort of go at him at a humorous angle, and so I don't have to take it too seriously. And I'm pretty self-deprecating on this album, probably too much. But this is Dirty Pain, and the next album that is going to be a departure for
Right.
sure. But
Have
yeah.
you sort of exercised those demons on this one? Like you've got out what you need to say, sort of about that subject matter?
Oh, for sure, man. Oh, it's magical what's happened since putting that out. It's like, man, this is the free therapy in
Yeah,
addition to paid therapy, but to release the songs, it's almost like some burdens lifted. Like it just symbolically, or something. It
yeah.
just feels good to have that out, and whether one person listens to it or nobody, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like, here, world, go deal with You deal with this now.
Yes, you're done with it, right? Now they can listen to it and have their own feelings about it, but you can move on. Yeah, yeah.
In a way, yeah, totally, man.
Does whatever the next thing is? I mean, again, obviously this record just came out. You're working on the band thing. I'm sure you'll be sort of living with these songs for a bit longer. But once you move on to whatever the next part of this project is, do you expect more sort of experimentation with the sound? I mean, because it's already gone from singer songwriter stuff to this more sort of heavier, grungier, full band thing, right?
Yes. Yeah, I do have a few plans in the works actually. So I actually started a couple years ago recording a couple songs with my friend Rory Verbrugge.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And and so the songs um they might come out. I don't know when to set a I won't set a date, but maybe mid to late summer, maybe early fall. I'm going to be putting out two songs, and those are going to sound really different than the album.
Cool.
Those are going to sound a lot slower, a lot more laid back, more of a sort of traditional country sound with Rory Lee and those steel guitar licks
Yeah,
there.
yeah. That,
Oh,
that 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 makes an impact for sure. Yeah, yeah.
dreamy. And then I do have plans to release record two songs. I'm kind of in the works of. I've written one song in Japanese, and
Okay.
I'm working on a second one. I love the genre of Japanese enka music. I don't know if you're familiar, but
I'm not.
it's
No,
kind
no.
of a traditional sort of Japanese music that I sort of fell in love with when I was living over there a few years back. And so I wrote one song in Japanese, and I'm working on my second one, and that's going to sound really, really different because I'm going for the traditional sort of Enka sound, which people can Google it or whatever, or find it on Spotify. But yeah, I like to bend genres and just explore different things. So who knows what the future may hold, especially if I keep collaborating with such fabulous, wonderful musicians who are really kind of able to take some of my ideas for songs and just take them in new directions. And oh, the beauty of collaboration, it's amazing.
Definitely, definitely. So, are you like, do you fluently speak Japanese, or is this a translation? Like you said, you lived there.
Well, I mean, I can't say I'm fluent now. One time I was pretty good, but and as the years go by, I keep losing it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
but I do. Yeah, I can still like pronounce the words okay. So, and I still can think in Japanese a little bit and kind of write. Now, I don't. These songs are probably going to sound a little funny, but I'm giving it my best effort, my best
Yeah,
attempt.
yeah. Does I mean I know this is in the future, but do these Japanese songs? Do they have the same humor elements and sort of the same kind of vibe? I know it's a very different sound, like you said, but do you inject your own personality into these, or are you trying sort of more focused on getting the vibe of that style right?
It's going to be a bit of both. I think it's going to be really trying to emulate and yeah, like I really like. I want to honor that style, but I do want to give it a little bit of milk flavor. And I think that music as well, it does lend itself to kind of a little bit of a country bluesy
Okay.
sort of feel. So I think it could be fun. I think I'm excited to see what Ryan Whiskey or someone like that might do with a guitar on some of those. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with those.
Cool, cool. And then I guess, like, if people are hearing this now, like you said, sort of this is your first crack at this. You're fairly new to a lot of people in the local music scene. What how do people find you? Where do they hear this record? I mean, I know that people listen to music in about 1,000 different ways in 2024. But where would you send someone if they were hearing this and said, "Hey, I want to check this out"? What's the best way to find your stuff?
Right, because yeah, at the moment there isn't a physical copy. I haven't made any cassettes or CDs or vinyl records.
Yeah,
I am going to probably make a few CDs just to have something physically hand out. But yeah, at the moment it's just available on all them streaming services, the Spotify's, the Apples, the whatnots, all them. But oh man, this is I don't know what I'm doing in this whole online internet universe of putting out music. But I got some friends that are helping me with it a little bit. I'm kind of like when it comes to technology, like an 80-year-old man, and so this
yeah.
is
It's weird.
all.
It's weird now. It's like a weird dystopia we're in, where I don't understand a lot of it either. And I don't know how to use streaming services yet. Like I can use YouTube and Bandcamp, and that's about it. And people start talking about Spotify, and it's just completely over my head. So I'm glad to hear you are going to do physical copies, because there are some people old and set in their ways like me who like pretty much rely on physical copies of albums to be able to listen to them properly. But I mean, I know, yeah, we're in an era where Spotify and Apple and all that stuff is sort of the main consumption for most people.
Yeah, I think part of it was just a rush. I could have waited maybe to do the CDs, but I just wanted to kind of prematurely get it out there, so to speak.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I hear what you're saying. I also appreciate the physical copy. I like records, man.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Have a little collection, and just something to hold in your hands is nice. But the world we're living in, man.
Yeah, definitely. What has the reception been so far to this record? Because I mean, probably a lot of people haven't heard your stuff because you've been mostly doing open mics and things like that. And again, the sound is maybe different than I think a lot of people might expect from just the whole package, right? So, what have people been telling you? Like, have you got a good reaction to the songs, to the album?
Well, I think my mother's very disappointed in me. I could just hear it in her voice when she talked to me.
Yeah.
But and then maybe the two other people that listened to the album, I think one of them liked it. No, I've heard, I've heard feedback from a couple folks, and it's been positive and kind of neat. I've actually met a few folks who have sort of reached out, and I've connected because they listened to it.
Oh, cool.
And so that's been really neat. Like, man, again, you write these songs, you put them out, and you don't really think anybody's going to hear them. And then to actually find out that someone did listen to it and they appreciated it, they liked the humor, that something they connected with something on it. That's such a neat, almost indescribable feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the cool thing too is that, like, as much as I complain about this dystopian technological future we're all in, I mean, the fact that you can just take your music you recorded, throw it online, and then it's instantly available to literally anyone who wants to hear it. Like, that's one of the good things about the bar has been lowered so much for just making your music available to the widest audience.
For sure. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, like, who knows? Like I said, this is the first time for me doing this, and I'm I'm a man of a certain age, and so I think this probably the ease with which one can record and put out music now, I think, makes it a lot more accessible. So that, of course, that's for sure a positive thing.
Definitely. Do you think that you're and I'm asking you this because, like you said, I mean, you've been in Manitoba, but you have roots outside of Manitoba, and obviously, like, I mean, you have an accent when you sing, all this stuff. Do you think that there's a local feeling to your record? Like, do you think that there's Manitoba sound, whatever that may be? Because I know it's impossible for anyone to define what Manitoba sound is, but does that seep in? Like, do you feel that local aura, like, sneaking into your record?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think so. I think definitely, because it's part of my, like, I was mostly raised, I would say, in rural Manitoba,
Yeah,
and I think maybe the rural lifestyle is more the connection. Because I also was the very small town in Oklahoma, about 1,000 people.
Oh, wow.
So rural central Oklahoma, rural Manitoba, and I think that that lifestyle, and I'll add fairly conservatively religious surroundings as well, communities, both of them, and that definitely, I think, influenced things a bit. But yeah, I would say there is in some way a Manitoba sound. I don't know how to describe it, and there's maybe like a Winnipeg. There's a grungy North End Winnipeg basement sound in there too, because a lot of it was just some basement vibes. I also got started hitting my stride, I think, in songwriting during the pandemic. So that again was for me an opportunity. Nothing really changed socially for me. I was distancing anyway, and but it gave me an opportunity to really get down and write.
Awesome. Well, I think that happened with a lot of people. It was either one way or the other. I mean, of the people I've talked to on the show since the pandemic, it's either been they use that as an opportunity to be very prolific and write and record and whatever else, and then other people have just found it to be completely the opposite, where they were just blocked. Like, I don't know if it was because what was going on in the world or because they couldn't sort of do their usual routine, but yeah, it seems like there was no middle ground. People were either using it and writing and being creative, and other people just completely shut down. So it's cool to hear that you were the more on the active side of things there.
yeah, things came together in good ways for me then. I think it was a timing thing.
Yeah.
And then I did yeah, I also had some health issues with my left eyeball where yeah, the good Lord done sent some parasites that took
Oh
my
shit.
eyesight away. And so I've been dealing with that and again writing and that kind of forced me inside even more so after the pandemic, just because I had a hard time seeing the light of day, literally.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
so I kind of turned that time too into a bit of a reflective, very very self-reflective, but also got some writing done too in that time.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I feel like the eye patch gives you a unique look too, right? I mean, it's memorable. It's like, you say the name, maybe someone forgets it, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, the guy with the eye patch." I mean, it's you don't see that very often, right? So it's got to help you a little bit in terms of like just recognition.
Oh, hey, I'll use any gimmick I can, man.
Yeah.
But I don't always need to wear it. It's just, sometimes it helps kind of block out the light. Little light sensitive in the left eye. I
Totally.
usually
Yeah.
just wear glasses, but yeah, it don't hurt to have a little fun
No, it's nice to see more
with
eye
an eye
patches.
patch.
I have a lazy eye, so I wear eye patches as a kid a lot, and yeah, so it's always good to see more of them out there because you don't see them that much these days, except in like pirate movies and shit, right? So it's
Oh,
kind of nice to.
solidarity, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
all
That's
right.
right.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
what's
We're not like Madonna doing it just for some gimmick where it's like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to be cool.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, no, you need to actually need it, I think, to make it worthwhile. If people again are hearing you for the first time on the show, where do they find out more about maybe upcoming shows and things like that? Like, what's the best way to find you on social media or elsewhere?
Yeah, again, I wish I was more savvy, but I ain't. I think at the moment, Instagram. I am. You can find a profile on Manitoba Music as well. In terms of shows, I don't really have any. Oh, I'm playing my favorite hardware store this coming Saturday, June 15th. Pollock Hardware, the North End. Shout out to that
Unfortunately, that'll
place.
be after this comes out. It'll be before this comes out, but hopefully people were there. It's a cool place to play a show.
Yeah. But no, I don't really have any shows lined up. I'm hoping to in the future, but yeah, we'll see where it goes. I ain't in no rush, I'm just taking things one day at a time. And like I said, my main focus now is starting to get together with the band here and really solidify these songs as a three piece.
Awesome.
Yeah.